Take a look at the Honda game summary. You see the ginormous hole that the Nets dug themselves in that first half.
You know, you look at Jared McCain. In 2 games against the Nets, he's 16 of 28. And I feel like every time he touched the ball, he shot it.
Yeah.
You know, he's a new addition to the team. It's not like he's thinking, let me pass my way, make my teammates happy. Man, he gets the ball, and he's shooting it. But listen, he played well against the Nets in those 2 games.
He did. Let's hear from Jordy Fernandez. Our Megan Triplett tees up the first question.
Jordy, you mentioned during pregame that this Thunder team was a good team. Just in what ways did they showcase that, and what made it difficult to really slow them down?
Yeah, I mean, those 15 turnovers for 22 points in the first half, it's really hard to overcome, obviously. It's you feel embarrassed when you score 24 points in a half of basketball. And, you know, I do believe, like, no doubt in my mind, our guys are better than this. But it's not about what I believe. It's about going out there and doing it. Because otherwise they'll try to do their job, and they do. They do it every night. And in the second half, 8 turnovers for 9 points. I think that's how you play a better second half, a better half of basketball. Obviously scoring 68 points in that second half, that's a big difference. I know the game was with a big advantage for them, but the fighting and competing means a lot, and at least we could find some positives in that second half. Guys that played hard, guys that were not supposed to be in the rotation and jumped in and played well.
In your mind, from the first half to the second half, I mean, is it largely just come down to protecting the ball better, or does that come down to a higher compete level from the guys that were on the
for sure, yeah,
on the floor?
Yeah, I just don't think our readiness to play the game was not there, and I expect our guys to play every minute like it's the hardest minute you'll play in your life, and it didn't happen. And I thought that some of the guys coming off the bench, they did it, and that urgency and energy and what you can control was there. And it's not magic or rocket science. It's just like, control what you can control, your attitude and your energy, and good things happen. And this team has proved it over and over again. And the way we get better is when we compete. If we don't compete, we don't get better.
How is Noah came out in that first quarter with the wrist sprain?
Yeah, we have to take a look and see, what's there, and obviously prioritize his body and his health. That's the most important thing, especially now with 13 games to go. And, hopefully he's fine.
When you talk about guys that came in the second half that maybe weren't supposed to be in the rotation or weren't planned on being in the rotation and played well, when guys aren't planned to be in the rotation, what are you maybe looking for when they do get in the second half? Does the evaluation change at all, or are there things that you're maybe looking for a little more closely?
I mean, you have to be ready at all times. That's professional basketball. And whether I communicate with you and tell you, hey, you may not be in, but be ready if I throw you in, you always have to be ready. I just like to tell the guys what their situation is, so they can prepare for it as much as I can. I like to give the information, but then if I see something that I have to change to make the team play harder, then I will. And today it happened where guys that were not supposed to be in, and I'll give you Jay Will, Tyson, Josh, those guys played extremely hard. Even EJ, the minutes he played at the end. And I'm, very proud of those guys. It's extremely hard to be there sitting, and then your number is called, and then you play hard as you can. You make an impact. So very grateful for those guys.
Mark said pregame that you both worked together as video coordinators, you for Spain and him for Team USA. So just curious how it was like working with him back then, and how that kind of contributed to your growth today as a coach.
Yeah, we were on opposite teams, and in those tournaments it was an U19 World Cup. With Spain, we didn't have video coordinators because we didn't have that many people and resources. But let's say I had to wear a lot of hats, and Mark was super helpful, and we got to know each other back then in 2013. And then we got to coach against each other in the G League, and now we get to coach against each other in the NBA. So I have a lot of respect for him. I always, like this, not just the coach, but also the person. And, it's very special what he's accomplished, and being an NBA champion and the way this team plays, obviously that's the identity that he works really hard to project. And, we go way back, and it's pretty cool to remember those moments.
Thank you, Jordy.
Thanks.
As we predicted, he brought up the turnovers, especially in the first half, and also just scoring those 24 points in the first half, and called that embarrassing.
Yeah, said feels embarrassed to score 24 points. Said readiness to play the game isn't there. Is that an indictment on mostly the starters, especially, again, 15-2 against Portland, 19-6 tonight. So right from the get-go, you're chasing the game. Then he was talking about urgency and energy, attitude and energy. If I'm Jordy Fernandez, and I understand where the Nets are right now and what the lottery ramifications are and all that. The Knicks are coming in here on Friday. I'm starting the best 5 players that I think I have, and hopefully that will include Michael Porter Jr. And the guys that are going to play are the guys that are just going to play hard. And that decision will be made quickly. There's no way you can do this again. 15-2, 19-6 at the start of the first quarter. You cannot have a repeat of tonight on Friday against the New York Knicks, your crosstown rival coming in here, especially the way that they've handled you in the 2 games at Madison Square Garden. That would be, to me, unacceptable.
All right, as you said, the Knicks are coming in here on Friday. The team the Knicks are chasing were in action tonight. That's the Boston Celtics. They were playing a former teammate in Kristaps Porzingis. Golden State Warriors starters, they had 17. As we take a look at the NBA standings, the top teams in each conference see the Pistons, Celtics, and Knicks. The Nets will see the Knicks on Friday, as Frank mentioned in our last segment. And, of course, the Thunder and the Spurs. I'll ask you a really simple question. I know the Pistons were ahead of the pack most of the season, but how do you see the East boiling down to one team, and who's the Thunder's biggest competition?
I think it's still the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
The Spurs have handled them during the regular season. The Eastern Conference, Cade Cunningham has back spasms, and they've kind of gone down a little bit, Detroit. And the other issue with Detroit is they're not a great three-point shooting team, so you wonder if that's going to affect them in the playoffs. You'd think it would, so they're going to need, because losing Malik Beasley, he was huge for them. And they lost Tim Hardaway Jr., who went to Denver, so they don't have that perimeter shooting.
All right, Frank, moments ago, Jalen Wilson met the media. Let's hear what Jalen had to say.
Jalen, going up against this Thunder team, just in what ways were they able to take control of this game?
Got a lot of good guys, hit a lot of tough shots. I think with a team like that, we got to limit our turnovers as well. So when they're getting out and hitting shots, getting confidence, it's going to be a tough night, especially with Shea out there controlling everything. So we got to do a better job at that for sure.
What was the biggest difference from the first half versus just the second half, the type of the rhythm that you guys were trying to find?
I think we just stepped up with taking some pride for looking at the score, understanding what the first half was, but how can we be better in the second half? How can we try to win the second half? And just take care of the ball, shoot the shots that we shoot, play off 2, and, play the right way, I would say.
Jalen, it seems to be like a common theme in recent games with you guys. You're down a lot at the half. You rally back in the second half. Why can't your second half effort match how you guys start games?
I think we just got to come prepared to play every single night, no matter who we're playing, especially with a team that's good. You can't come out with any less energy than them, understanding what they're competing for, but understanding also what we're competing for. We're trying to get better every single day. And, I think we can't wait till we get down to, all right, now we want to play this way or that way. Like, we got to be ready to play off the jump.
In that first half, you guys were pretty cold, shooting the ball. And obviously the Thunder are one of the best defensive teams in the league this year. But when it comes to you guys and having halves like that, is that more of just bad shot selection, not running the right plays, or is that just sometimes just make or miss?
I think we just got to be locked in on obviously trying to execute as much as we can. They are a great defensive team. Also, we didn't hit a lot of shots in the first half, so long rebounds lead to fast breaks and stuff like that. But I think we just continue to shoot the good shots that we know how to shoot, we'll have halves like the second half where the shots do fall, we get to the free throw line. But it's just continuing to play the right way.
All right, we're going to take our final break here from Barclays Center on the Honda Nets postgame show. When we come back, Frank and I wrap things up. That's next right here on Yes.